Hi students, this is UPSC Mains Content Builder series from Calendar Study. So this series is going to be about a lot of current affairs which are building up in our society on day-to-day basis. Many times students get puzzled, they don't understand which current affair to follow, to which depth should they go and get an overview over it. So this will be a kind of an arrangement where we are all going to bring you the most relevant current affairs. They are related to your syllabus and the level to which you need to go. This would also be presented in these videos. So let us move on and see the first video in this series of content builder for mains. Today the topic that we have built for you is a bill to corporatize farming process. This bill has been brought in Punjab Legislative Assembly to corporatize the farming. Let us see what are the interests. This bill affects to a great extent the peasants in the state, the agribusiness corporations, and the most important part is for us that it is part of land reforms in India, and which comes in GS 3. There's a bit of difference between peasants and farmers. For those who are having sociology as their optional, or those who are even interested to know, peasants and farmer are quite interchangeably used on occasions. But the difference is peasants are the landless farm laborers, and farmers are those who work in their farm, but they also own sometimes the own farms. So they are not landless per se when they are compared with peasants. So this bill affects to a great extent that fraternity which comprises either peasants or farmers. There are stakeholders in business corporations too, and we definitely have an important stake in it since it is part of our land reforms in India. So let us get into the details. Obviously, this slide would have most of the things which I would want to say for your reference too. So once I'm done saying, you may just refer back and get the important points for you taken down somewhere, or else you can just keep it like it is. There's no doubt that agricultural land leasing laws in India should be amended to make land leasing lawful and easier. Obviously, there is a lot of stress in agricultural sector. People definitely are willing to get some capital infused into it. Big corporations, deep pockets, they can come in and invest in agriculture. But there has to be a process that affects both the stakeholders, the farmers, those who have those who own the land, and those who are willing to invest into it. Now, this process has to be made easier, transparent, and non-exploitative. Now, Niti Aayog in the year 2016 did propose a report for ensuring that this agricultural land leasing thing gets modeled in every state across India. There is a similarity or uniformity in its execution. So they brought this nationally uniform law, but it is still not accepted across pan India. But then different states are trying to get themselves different land leasing and tenancy bill. So the one which I'm trying to talk about today is the Draft Punjab Land Leasing and Tenancy Bill 2019 that seeks to open the land leasing market in the state. Now this bill actually would, once incorporated, it will replace 6 laws. These are pertaining to tenancy, occupancy rights of tenants, security of tenure, colonization of government land, which were enacted in 19th century. So pretty old stuffs and bills are there. So this bill is basically trying to have a new impact on these old laws. Let's move on. Now everything is fine with this bill, but whenever you're trying to make a bill which affects the social structure so deeply, you need to ensure that there is some kind of regulation or restriction. Now you need to see from where you are coming. You're basically having a system where you have a complete ban on tenancy and ceiling, and now you're moving into a system wherein this land leasing system has been open to everybody. There is a free for all sort of concept, right? So you need to understand from where to where. This jump is quantum. This is a big leap. Now, in order to have such big things, big change incorporated, you need to ensure all those stakeholders who you are looking at should get equally benefited. So an equitable distribution is important here. Now let us see whether this bill has tried to sort of cover up those gaps or not. Now, there is one concept around this bill which is very important to understand, is reverse tenancy. Now, this term reverse tenancy is, most of the time, let us first understand what tenancy is and how it practically works in India. Whenever it is about tenancy, the farmers who own very little land, or those who are landless basically, the peasants, they tend to go and say the big landlords to part some land to them, and they would work on it, cultivate crops, and at the year end or whatever the arrangement is, they will give some of the produce to the land owners or the big landowners in cash or in whatever produce percentage they can afford. Now, this is the normal way. The smaller ones go to the bigger ones. Now, in Punjab, this process is happening. This reverse tenancy thing is quite prominent. Reverse tenancy means the bigger, powerful, connected people, those who have already got big land parcels, they will go and talk to these marginal small farmers and ask them to part their land to them. And they will work on it. I mean, in case there is some arrangement where, these small farmers would get benefited, that is obviously, how the things work so far. So obviously it is not that bad, but then reverse tenancy is quite a thing which is prevalent in Punjab and states like Telangana. So what this slide says is that it is commonly, happening in Punjab, and although it is illegally and informally. Punjab is also known for reverse tenancy, where unlike most of the rest of India, large and medium farmers lease lands and marginal and small farmers. That's what I said. Reverse tenancy, according to a research paper by H.S. Shergill, can be seen in the fact that average size of tenant land holding, including one's own land, was double. That's what I mean to say, that the ones who are actually taking the tenancy over to them are having sizes double of the average. Like you can see there are 17 acres of land. Those who are most of the time are acquiring lands from the marginal and smaller ones. Further, on an average, 48% of tenants from farm area are on lease land. So 48% of the total tenant farm is on lease land. 82% of leased area was with those owning less than 10 acres. So it's quite a bit data that you can look into and try to find out why this bill is not that conducive. Now, what does the last line say? On average, 48% of the tenant farm area was on lease land. Moreover, 82% of the leased area was with those owning more than 10 acres of land. So you can understand that those who own more than 10 acres, right, they are having control or regulation over 82% of the leased area, which is 48% of the total farmable area of Punjab. So that's quite a big regulatory control that big landowners have over the farmland in Punjab. So whether the marginal ones, the small farmers are actually getting benefited to that extent is thing to be found out. Or ultimately, when this bill gets enacted, passed in the Legislative Assembly, then we'll come to know whether it has done real justice by amending and bringing in cooperation, things which are really important. Now, such holdings accounted for 55% of total operated area of the state. Now, again, the same thing, bigger ones having more control. Now, the important point is the small and marginal farmers leased in only 5% of total leased area. So, out of that 48% of total thing which is under lease, only 5% of that is controlled by small and marginal farmers. So, significantly, 83% of the leasee farmers had tractors because, most of them are rich. 78% have their own electric tubes, 56% employed permanent labor. So this thing has become a game of the rich only. Now this practical scenario, which was so far illegal, is now been fabricated or packaged in a way so that now becomes legal in Punjab. Now let us see further. The overwhelming proportion of the tenancy in Punjab is 95%. was cash rent based. Again, one concept. So cash rent basically is a process in which somebody who is acquiring the tenancy need to pay the benefits of whatever agreement in cash. So there is a problem. Suppose I'm a small and marginal farmer, and I need to pay my tenancy rent on cash, in cash. Now I need to take my produce, go to the market. It is not the botheration for the person who has given or leased his land to me or her land to me. Would not bother what crop am actually, is it a subsistence farming am I doing, or a cash crop that I'm farming? So that doesn't bother that person. I need to take my crop or produce to the market, sell it to the right person, try to get the best price, and then come and give the cash to the landowner or the actual person who holds the land. Now this process is again taxing on me, because I need to carry my produce, transportation cost is there, find the right person who can pay me. The APMC thing is already disturbed in our country. We all know that the governments are trying to make some reform over there as well. Recently the government did something, but we'll come to that a little later. So that kind of an arrangement is there, which is required. So cash rent base is 95%. There are other areas in my state UP as well. I have seen that people, they sometimes are only interested in whatever subsistence crop that you're farming. You can give a part of it to the person from whom you have leased it. That's all. So cash rent is again a stress. That's what I meant to say. So this is an additional stress as it is written over there, as one has to sell the crop first, which may not yield the good price in market, right? Punjab is one of the 5 states in India, along with Haryana, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, where cash rent tenancy accounts for more than half of the total number of the lease deals. This makes it even more significant to examine the provisions. So the benefit to the farmer, if that farmer is not that open and not that connected, not that learned, will not be that much. So it is shocking that the bill does not set any limit or range on leased area. Now, obviously, you already know that 48% is with the rich people. The majority of that, 95% of that is with the rich people. Now, if you don't set a control or a limit on it, they can go and acquire more and more land, thus thereby depriving the marginal smaller ones having lesser control on the farm land. So ultimately, that could create a crisis. Right, that could create a crisis, the one which we're seeing lately in our country. The poor and marginalized, somehow they have left their land and went over to the states, to the centers, the capitals of our country, but are now the worst and neglected ones among the all lot. So this thing is also not there. Plus, they have in this bill, they have not even mentioned the amount of rent that must be charged per acre. So this is again left for the market to decide. So a country like India, where you don't have education properly, you don't have means of social mobility that much available to everyone. In this scenario, a social responsibility of the government cannot be ignored. Everything cannot be left over to the market to decide and discover. So this is not good. Further, the landless trying to lease in their share of panchayat lands have suffered from an unfair competition. So obviously there is a competition. Those who are willing to get more price need to have more connections, need to be more in the groups or the circles, those who are rich. So this will again impact. The Niti Aayog's Model Act at least suggests the limits on leasing by incorporate entities by setting ceilings on land ownership in the state. So this Niti Aayog model, why am I trying to, or why this has been referred again and again? Because this is already a model that is set and as a precedent, the states could have looked at this particular act, to whenever they are going to frame one for themselves. So for us as well, it is important we know what are the details. Now we'll be coming to that later. The bill exempts from its purview the government-owned land, state lands, urban local body. This is a fact that you should know what the bill has tried to do. The move to keep outside these things out of regulation, obviously it is from the political perspective. This cannot be so easily moved out. There are interest groups, they will come and sort of create some kind of nuisance. If groups and agencies can lease in, now the question is, if groups and agencies can lease in, there are entities, those who can lease in, why groups and institutions cannot lease out? Like the groups and institutions here are, what the author has tried to say, are the panchayats and the government agencies and institutions. So let us move on. Now, Like Niti Aayog's Model Land Leasing Act, this bill allows an unwritten lease agreement. Now, this is again something that is for somebody who has a higher level, who has achieved a higher level of stability in their life or society. An unwritten lease agreement in a country like ours definitely doesn't go down well with many people, because we have so many so many conflicts. We are still seeing the Supreme Court and other courts are laden with and overburdened with a lot of cases. Obviously most of them are of civil and criminal nature, both basically, but ultimately this unwritten lease agreement doesn't go down well. So the intention behind this bill is not very clear. Again, the bill justifies this on the ground that most of the years this unwritten lease is actually the pretext. So this is again something which was already there, must be continued despite it having a lot of problems, isn't justified on the ground that it was already there. So written lease agreement should be there. Now this is one lacuna. The bill does not even provide model agreement. Niti Aayog did it. Now let us move over. The proposed legislation will also have adverse consequences for contract farming and direct purchase of produce from farmers, because corporations are themselves coming over. They are not owning the land, but now they have got control over it. They have got control over it, right? So in a way, they can accumulate a lot of clout. That will only mean accumulation without dispossession. So the big corporations can accumulate a lot, but they are not even letting the farmers, sort of go without having any control on land, but they are not able to do anything at that time. So they are dispossessed of it. The farmers have the land, but they are dispossessed. The big companies and entities, they don't possess the land, but they got control over it. So in a way, this is not really serving the purpose which should be there in a socialist society, in a society which is so poor and so uneducated and so unconnected, right? So unrepresented. It should not be this way. Finally, it is important to remember that marginal and small farmers cultivate only 8% of land in Punjab. So this is again an irony. This if your farms are not developed, if your agriculture sector, your this primary sector is not developed, obviously it will be an archaic model. It will be labor intensive, obviously, and that will not be efficient either. So this is creating a lot of problem, and these problems which are looked at very negatively by even the people, those who are there, even rural people, don't like such problems and issues. They want their life to be easy, right? They move out of that place. So push migration continues to happen from the rural centers and pull migration to the capitals and cities. Now the situation is actually created when this present crisis, I mean this COVID crisis, has given birth to another crisis of migrants. That is because the grams, the villages are not really made in the model that should support such structure, so many people. So the grams, the village, the panchayats aren't really the livable model in our independent country even after 70 years. So if provided this bill is given the shape that is need to be, maybe it will also address the problems why so many people went out of these places. So now, if this bill, this is the last line the author said, if this bill, a caricature, basically, which is a very morphed and disformed face of this Niti Aayog Model Act, is passed into law as it is, it would result in elimination of small and marginal farmer, because only 8% are left, those who are doing actually farming in Punjab. And with this reverse tenancy, which is already in vogue, although illegally, and becomes legitimate, these 8% will also be sort of shoved out or be chased out of this process of farming. So where these 8% small and marginal farmers go, dispossessed of their land or not even getting the kind of money in this market economy where everything has been decided, where the cost per acre is not fixed, the quality is not fixed, so many things are still and yet to be decided. Now, for this particular PPT to make sense, a small PPT on Niti Aayog Model Act 2016 is also important. I'll try to make that a little later. Now, this was all about the bill. It is yet to pass the Legislative Assembly's scrutiny. It will be made an act once it is finally getting approval from the governor. Till that time, we will be coming across a lot many things. The land reform in India, which was a major part which we covered here, a development that is happening in India from Punjab, obviously, we'll keep an eye on it. So we'll try to see what other areas we should have worked upon in case a land reform in real and meaningful sense is supposed to be brought. Now this article, this PPT which I created has contents from one article which was by Professor Sukhpal Singh from IIM Ahmedabad, published in Mint News, PRS India and Wikipedia. Now the time is to share, care, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys, and you can leave topic suggestions at info@calendarstudy.com, and hope you liked it. You let your friends know, and you also work hard, so it makes the real output at the end. Thank you. Bye bye.